Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is Chatting in Cars. It's a podcast where I talk about random topics pulled out of a hat, or rather a plastic bag, whilst drive to work. There is a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do swear a lot. I do talk about sensitive topics and I do swear at people while I'm driving. So if you don't want to hear any of that, I can absolutely assure you need to turn off now because I will be doing it unapologetically. So the topic for today is reputation. And I'm not talking about reputation in a sort of Victorian sense. Well, maybe I am. Victorian sense. I'm a little bit jostled this morning, shall we say. Because we just had someone break into our car park, apparently, and take someone's keys, so now they can get up the fucking access staircase near enough into the apartment. So if we didn't have like deadlocks on the doors, it's like we're supposed to have double security, triple security. We're supposed to have parking, gates, a fob, and keys. It's like this is all things they advertise in the rental thing. But, you know, apparently I live in one of those areas where people get broken into, which is a pain in the ass. I wonder who it was. Probably kids. So anyway, that's my drama for this morning. It wasn't my apartment that got broken into. It was another guy's, but he was sitting there chatting to me this morning. So anyway, just to lighten your day. Reputation. Let's keep on track, shall we? So what is it? I mean, honestly, everybody wants to have a good reputation, I would assume, unless you're trying to be like a bad boy or something, or a bad girl. I don't understand where this culture is heading towards where, you know, everybody wants to do the wrong thing so they're perceived to be, oh, he's a badass. Is it a badass anymore? Because it's just coming across as pathetic and insecure, but I don't know. You know, I would assume anything like a reputation for bad boys, you know, comes from some kind of, I don't know, bikey. I want to say bikey. But, you know, there was a time in the 1950s when everybody was trying to, you know, be a good person, I suppose, like clean. Post-war, everybody wanted to do the right thing because we all pitched together, I guess, culturally, I would hope. And then out of that came the sort of boomer generation where kids were rebelling against their parents because their parents wanted them to be the, you know, pristine, good, clean generation, I would hope. Maybe they took it too far and so the kids rebelled, and that's how we ended up with, you know, the mods and the rebellious bikey kids. And then after that came the hippies who were just doing drugs and things like that. You know, I'm very simplified in this version of it. I was like, I'm only 37, so I wasn't there at the time. But, you know, what seems to be the trend sociologically is these cultural groups sort of came out of this horrible experience of the Second World War. Possibly before that, there was other things happening, of course. And sort of, they tried to create this clean generation, high morals sort of thing, but they did it too much, and then everybody rebelled and became like, you know, I want to be a badass, I want to do the wrong thing because I'm rebelling against the man. Maybe they took it too far, and now it's part of a culture where everybody wants to have like a bad reputation. It's like, oh, they're a total badass. It's like, well, technically they're just fucking people over, so I don't know why you're embracing that. It seems to be a nasty thing as well. It's like people have become pretty horrible in their approaches to other people. It's like, I want to be seen as bad. I mean, you got the whole typical Michael Jackson, you know, Thriller, whatever, Bad song. If you ever watch that, it presents a sort of image of what bad is, and it's bikie jackets, and it's, you know, well, to be honest, it's a dance-off. I don't understand how that's a bad thing. I was like, it's very aerobic. It's probably good for you. But, you know, there's this culture where people want to be seen as the bad guys, like anti-heroes maybe, I don't know. But it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, who does it help really? I mean, if you're a nasty person, people just tend to abandon you. They don't want to be around you. If you're a horrible person, sort of, you know, even sexually, you're picking up STDs and and you're treating people like shit and they abandon you, and nastiness. And there's this weird sense of, you know, emotionally cold. They want to be emotionally cold. They want to shut down emotions, and so they don't want to connect with anyone. And I think, honestly, I think it's just a trauma bond thing, or it's the result of trauma. It's like people generally shutting down their emotions because they've felt something horrible. I mean, maybe if it's just like looking for sympathy as well. It's like a cry for help sort of thing, where they come across as bad, so they shut down their emotions. And, you know, I don't know. It seems odd. Guy, you've got to move. Ugh. Sorry. Someone with a boat trailer just rounding the corner like a geriatric. Move, dude. You're in rush hour. Move. But, you know, it's the nastiness as well. There's a nastiness as well. And I think it's just people being emotionally isolated from each other. No one wants to admit they're, you know, willing or wanting or craving even to connect with other people because it might show that they're weak. I don't understand that. There's no weakness in being kind. There's no weakness in showing emotion and vulnerability. We all cry. It's a biological thing. I mean, we all feel sad. We all feel anger. These are all, you know, like parts of being a human. It's the human psyche. You should be able to feel. That is a biological gift from the divine. You should be allowed to do that. But then you get other people sitting there judging you for it. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing, you can judge, honestly. It won't get you anywhere as well because people should be, you know, ballsy enough to stand up for themselves and tell them to fuck off. If you cry, do it. You need to, most people do. Especially when you get past 30 and your life's falling apart, you need to fucking cry. And people think, I need to be tough, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to show emotion. I don't like emotional unavailability. If you ever listen to that podcast I did about it, I don't understand it, I don't like it. It just creates, you know, distance and alienation from other people. You know, speaking as someone who's got the hedgehog's dilemma, thanks to my upbringing. If you want to Google what the hedgehog's dilemma is, it's wanting to get close to people, but, you know, you've got your spikes on the other side, so you're like, get the fuck away from me. So, it's one of those weird psych things. You want to get near someone, but you're, you know, afraid of hurting them or afraid of being hurt yourself or something like that, you know? If there is a greater depth to that conversation, I would Google it. I'm touching on it mainly because time at this point. But that's part of the whole kind of bad reputation. Yeah, I want to be a badass person. It's like, and it also involves things like taking drugs and stuff like that. And the only thing I understood from drugs and living in an area that's low SES is that they cause problems. They don't help anything. They just make situations worse exponentially. It's like when you take someone who is, you know, generally an angry person, you put them on drugs, they get worse. It's like they become violent and stuff like that. They're all hoping for some kind of escapism or some kind of, I don't know, alternative way of looking at things, I suppose. I mean, some people take drugs because they're going to get spiritual enlightenment from it. You won't. You will fuck up your body. I mean, even talking in like ether terms, the body's not equipped to deal with drugs. It's not. Otherwise, it would have occurred naturally as, you know, something we would have found in our food group. This is how we had guinea pigs dying from eating weird berries and stuff. It's like, I mean, there are some cultures that have adopted drugs as part of their thing. Yeah, sure, you got like Native Americans with the peyote and shit like that. But you overdo it, you fuck yourself up. Spiritually, you're not equipped to deal with that much, I want to say, enlightenment in one hit. I mean, that's why we, you know, grow spiritually through pain and stuff like that. But it's gradual pain. It's not one big flush of, you know, because you'd die. I mean, if you injured yourself. Or, like, I'm trying to think of an example. So most people that are spiritual leaders, for example, will have gone through some traumatic experience. Maybe it's, I don't know, genocide, maybe imprisonment, rape, assault, something, you know, it's that basic, maybe war. It's like they've all gone through these horrible, horrible experiences, but they managed to survive and adapt to it, and they've grown from it. Drugs in one go, one hit, it'll give you maybe a flash of inspiration, but ultimately the come down is too much for the body to handle. It's too much for the psyche to handle. It's why people get addicted to it, partly. Although I've had a conversation about addiction before in this podcast. But it's just too much. It's too fast, too hard, too much. It's not healthy spiritual growth. If you're going for enlightenment in that way, you need to go gradually. Some people are naturally born that way. Some people, you know, just have a gift. As we all have different skills, right? We all have different ways of doing things. Some people are just stronger in that particular area. Some people are really good at math. I fucking suck at math. But I acknowledge that's a less available skill set to me, and I can move through it. That's just talking in esoteric terms, by the way. And you know, it's like this bad reputation. So why do so many people want to be the villain these days? I mean, what happened to being clean, generally, morally clean? It's like, how far do we have to go as a society or as a population before we start turning the other way? I mean, that's something to do with conflict theory as well. Conflict theories, there's always the dichotomy. There's always two groups of someone who's one the weaker, one the stronger, and there's a constant battle going on. In simplified terms, right? Of course, yes, there is depth to that conversation. But there's always a dichotomy where there's a fight constantly going on. Both want the upper hand. I mean, you can see it in like Marxism, in the bare basics, if you want to see it that way. You got the bourgeoisie with the proletariat. But we didn't see the middle class coming, so there's an extra factor in there as well. So we couldn't really apply that to that, but you know, there's always a fight going on. There's always good overcoming evil, you know, dark overcoming light, or light overcoming dark. There's always a fight going on. So when do we get to the point where we see people who are generally bad people wanting to become generally good people, you know? I mean, it's a bit black and white, really, because there are grey areas. Not everyone is wholly bad. Not everyone is wholly good. If you look in Taoist terms, you've got the yin and the yang. You've got, like, what I relate to is the white, which is actually, they said, was the male counterpart. But I'm not, yeah. Anyway, I think it's more energies than it is, you know, sex, biological based. You got the all white with a little bit of black, and you got the all black with a little bit of white. It's balance, essentially. You're never going to be wholly anything. There's always room for improvement or movement. So, you know, evil villains versus good people, I don't know. But reputations in themselves as well. It's like, what kind of reputation do you want to give the people? What, do you want a bad reputation? Do you want a good reputation? It comes out of social appreciation as well, or approval. Do you want to belong? It's like, I have no inclination to belong to any kind of social group at the moment because I've been tainted by them. I don't find any value in wanting to belong to, I mean, for example, I'm a teacher. Do I want to belong to that crew of teachers? Not really. I'll work there, I will get paid, but I've not got any kind of social allegiance to them. When they invite me over to do social club stuff, it's like, do you want to come out for drinks tonight? It's like, no. And I know what it is because I don't particularly find these people interesting. Which sounds a bit arrogant, really, but, you know, it's just like, I work with you. I don't want to party with you. Not that I party anyway. I don't want to hang out with these people. I'm here for a specific reason and function, and that's it. I'm here for the kids mainly. I don't really want to interact with any of you fuckers. You're just here by chance. My job is the kids. They're a subgroup in a context that really I don't particularly want to get attached to. I'm looking to get out of teaching. But it's like, it's the social approval thing. Like when I had the social group with my ex-boyfriend stuff, it's like they were acting in particular ways and they wanted to have this sort of, well, what I would classify as a bad reputation with the whole sleeping around drugs and heavy drinking and stuff like that and just party culture. It's like, I don't want that. I don't want that because I find it destructive, not because I give a shit about anyone's opinion of me. I don't want to be labeled and perceived to be like them because I know, logically, it's destructive. I don't see any point in doing it. I don't identify with them either because I would not pick up these practices myself. There was a lot of backstabbing amongst friends in that group, and I don't identify with that kind of shit. Because if you're friends, you're meant to be nice to each other, you're meant to look after each other. It's like an extension of your family. I don't, if you've got that type of family where you can do that. I didn't, but yeah. Oh my God, there's so many factors here. But, you know, I mean, what we should be aiming for, I think, is a good reputation. Something that's, you know, it has some currency and weight to it. It's like someone can trust you, someone can rely on you. And it leads to opportunities where you can better your life chances, other people's life chances, all these kind of things. So I know I would never leave a kid with a meth head because I know they've got a bad reputation of responsibility and reliability. Plus, they're probably on drugs. They might even leave my kid where there is access to drugs, you know? I wouldn't do it. So reputation does have some weight in terms of safety and stuff like that, but when it comes to social cohesion and stuff, I don't know. If you acknowledge that we're all sort of autonomous individuals and we all got our mindsets where we come from different backgrounds, sorry, my stutter's kicking in. We've all got a unique, you know, mindset and experiences, so we're all bringing our own stuff to the plate, but, you know, there is only a limit to so much we can tolerate where safety becomes an issue. And reputation does come into play. So maybe we need to look at the motive for having reputations. Is it for the shallowness of social appearances? Do we want to belong to a group just to say we can belong to a group? Like all these people in the millionaires clubs, like I've screwed over this many people financially just so I can say I've got $1 million and I can belong to this crew. Or, or I've got big tits and blonde hair so I can belong to this crew. Is that just a negative archetype for women? Or men, I know these days, you know, guys are getting some moves going on. I don't know. But my brain's fried. It's nearly Friday. No, it's not, it's Wednesday. So what does the weight of reputation mean? I mean, back in the 1800s, women were meant to be chaste. We were meant to be untouched by men unless we were married, and even then we had to do our duty and provide children, which is, oh, thank God, gone out the window these days. Because if I come down, my existence was solely based on, you know, shooting out babies, I'd top myself. I know my ancestors had that problem. I say problem. I don't know if they had a different mindset, that they didn't just see it as normal. So I know that my grandma went a bit crazy with those kinds of experiences. She had 4 kids in low SES conditions. And she was stuck in one spot and she went a bit crazy because she just couldn't move, and she didn't have that type of, I say, heritage and culture. She had gypsy culture, and she just couldn't move around. Essentially, she got locked in and sucked down, so she turned to drink. She had a reputation. She had a reputation as an aggressive woman that could get shit for you. So I don't know if I shouldn't just, you know, glorify that, because I admire those traits now, given the context I exist in. What is seen as aggressive back then was not a good thing. Women aren't supposed to be aggressive, but at this point in time, if we're going out for what we want, we're going to have to be aggressive. Maybe we can find a way to do it tactfully, but I think everyone should be doing it tactfully. You don't want to come across as an asshole. But, you know, reputations change as well. It's like things we used to think were bad are now maybe turning to good. We want assertion. We want aggressiveness. We want women to be able to fight for their things, especially if they've been let down by men and stuff like that, or anyone around them, really. It's not really a sex-specific thing. What else? I know. It's just, I'm sorry I'm babbling today. I've got a few things in my head. I'm still thinking about that person breaking in last night. Great. Is my shit still got to be there when I get back? I have nothing worth having. I broke into the house and left some stuff because she had nothing worth having. You stopped some crap. It's like, thanks. It's a cover. To be honest, I got all my valuables with me at the point. There's not a lot I've got that's valuable. Perks of living in a low SES area, you know how to adapt to shit like people breaking into your house and stuff. It's like, haha, bitch. Good luck finding the money, there is none. Oh, reputations. In high school, I had a good reputation. My nickname was Angel. I don't know how the fuck I picked that up, but I had a friend who was Devil as well. It's pretty lame. It's pretty cheesy. But I had the blonde hair and the blue eyes. And I was just generally a nice person, I guess. And she was the mischievous, dark-haired, dark-eyed one. So, maybe that's where I got it from. I don't know, but I didn't think that I did anything particularly great that would give me that status. And I don't think she did anything particularly, naughty that would give you that status, but, reputations. But, people just knew me as someone who's just generally friendly and chill, because I wasn't really out for any kind of popularity or anything. I was pretty inclusive in the way I treated people. I found that to be a good thing, just because I wanted things to go smoothly. I wanted people to get along. I didn't want the drama and the negativity. I had that at home. I didn't want to pass it around like in school. That's how you lose people. That's how you lose friends, by being an asshole generally. So that gave me a reputation. So I did have a reputation at one point of just generally being a nice person. And I got on with pretty much everyone in the school, most people. The popular kids didn't like me. I don't give a shit. I saw what they were doing. I wasn't into it, so it didn't make a dent on anything I did, really. I didn't like them for what they were doing and the way they went about treating people. But, it didn't make a dent. It didn't affect my grades or anything. So, yeah. I still had a pretty decent reputation when I left high school. I went into uni. I hung out with my same friends pretty much that I was in high school with. It wasn't until, say, I was hanging out with that social group of my ex-boyfriends that I started developing this bad reputation so far, and that's only in the last couple of years. I've been listening very carefully to rumors and gossip. I shouldn't, because it's ridiculous at this age. I'm going, dude, I'm nearly 40. I can't believe it. But for entertainment purposes, it's pretty interesting to see what these fuckers will say that I'm doing, knowing what I actually do on a day-to-day basis, and I'm pretty fucking boring. So it's like, oh my God. It's like, wow, I did that. What? I don't even know that person. But, you know, there's been a bit of gossip running around, and I'm laughing because it's ridiculous. Because you guys, if you listen to the other podcasts, you know what I do. I get up, I work on my businesses, I work as a teacher, I get home, I eat, I work on my business again, and then I go to the gym, and then I pass the fuck out. And that is my life. There's no chance of anything going tits up in regards to, you know, sleeping around, taking drugs and all this shit. But there's some interesting shit going around. I know I've got one of my ex-boyfriend's friends saying that I slept with him. I'm going, first of all, ew, looking at him. Definitely not my type. He's a hyperactive, 5'4", I would say. Actually, no, I'm 5'4", but you know, he's fucking close. Sweaty, ADHD. He takes some kind of opium fluid that he made from poppy seeds, apparently. And I'm like, you're just a druggie and you're a drama bitch. So I just don't, you're not my type, dude. I mean, not even close to my type. I find that hilarious because I don't even know why you would spread that kind of a rumor except to cockblock other people from approaching me, which I find fascinating. I'm going, how insecure are you that you need to spread this kind of shit? So at the moment, I think my ex-boyfriend is saying that I'm cheating on him, or I cheated on him, that's why I left. I left him for someone else. I don't believe it myself because I was there. I would never cheat. I'm a monogamous. It doesn't make sense. I know that the people who he's telling have met me and know what I'm about, so I don't think they believe it either, which I find fascinating, that he's still trying to spread this shit around. But you know what? It's him and his buddy that said that I slept with him. I'm going, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you people. I don't. It's like this nastiness. So apparently I've got like a scarlet letter reputation going around that small social crew that doesn't fucking matter, which is interesting because there's chances are I'll never run into them again, so they have no real impact. So I don't know why they do that. If it had been a larger group or something that would impact my income, I do come across as materialistic when I say that, but at the same time it's like I'm not getting my life projects fucked over by some asshole that spreads gossip. It's like, not when it affects my job, dude. You don't fuck with the people's pay. You just don't. You don't. And if it means, you know, spreading rumors and shit, I would be fucking pissed. I mean, look at what Johnny Depp did to him because Amber Heard spread some shit about him. I still to this day don't know if it's true or not. I'm not jumping on the Johnny bandwagon. I don't agree with bandwagons. It's like I wasn't there, I don't understand it myself, and I didn't see what happened. So until I see or understand it, I'm not jumping on anything. But she claims he smacked her around. She took pictures. Apparently there's evidence, but it looks like it's been photoshopped. You know. And he lost work for it because of the Pirates of the Caribbean thing wanted nothing to do with him. Which shows the loyalty you've got in, you know, areas like Hollywood. It's like if you got even a slight tarnish on your reputation, they'll ditch you. It's interesting to see which ones come back, just to try and crawl back up to you, get you to do their deals and stuff, which I find a bit sickening. But that's again why I don't like Hollywood and stuff like it, because it's just shallow. So he lost his reputation because of something she said, and that affected his income. He sued her for the income loss, which I don't blame, really. I mean, when it's talking in the millions though, that seems a bit excessive. But it's like, do you really need all these millions? I don't know, maybe that's what he felt he was worth, or maybe that's what he felt the gesture was worth. I don't know. Honestly, if you wanted to do the right thing, I think you'd take the money off them and just give it to charity or something, because you don't need all that money, but that's me. Seems excessive. But these guys, in this small social group, this has no impact on me, because they work in a bar, they all work in a single bar. It's like that bar is in the middle of nowhere, counts for nothing. They don't know any of the people that I actually need to rely on, so it doesn't really matter. The only thing it would affect, I think, is, maybe if I had feelings for one of the people there. And so it would be a cock block because I'm perceived to be this promiscuous asshole, essentially, where I would, sleep with my ex-boyfriend's friend to prove a point or be petty or some shit like that, which is, the reality is that he's more likely to do it to me, except my best friend's a male and I don't think you're his type, and I don't think my friend would do that, to be honest. It's not something we would cultivate in our friendship group. Sleeping around with each other's spouses or whatever just isn't a thing. I mean, I'm heavily into the bro code at this point because you just don't. I mean, if you've got a friend who's broken up with his girlfriend, you don't go for his girl. You just don't. It's like shagging his sibling. You just don't. It doesn't make sense. So at the moment, and I'm laughing still because I've got this reputation which I've never had before in my life, and I find it fascinating that I've got one. I'm a little bit proud of it, to be honest, because it makes my life look a little bit more interesting than it actually is. It's like, I slept with who? I did what? It's like, wow. So maybe there's some kind of merit in it. It's in a fantasy level. There's some kind of good thing to this. It's like, wow, you think I'm capable of that? That's amazing. It's like, you think I'm that interesting? Oh, the drama. I don't mind watching drama from a distance, but it does give me the shits when people try and involve me in it. It's like, I don't want to be this part of this. So it's fascinating, I find. And then I'm sitting there because I've got a psych degree, I'm sitting there backtracking their behaviours. I'm sitting there going, what has made this person want to say this and do this? So it's given me a fun little game of analysis as well. I see a lot of, people trying to fit in, first of all, because, they want that social cohesion so they can say they belong to this group. So there's a few of them doing that, which is why they've jumped on this bandwagon that I'm a person who sleeps around, apparently. Never mind that I left my ex-husband because he wanted an open marriage. It's like, oh yeah, that's totally what I do. 16 years under the belt, I leave people on a whim, right? It's like, fuck off. But, I'm also looking at why they feel compelled to say these things. I'm assuming it's a heavy insecurity. I'm assuming it's spite and pettiness, to be honest. Because if they can't, say have me, no one else can have me because it's cock blocking me from anyone else in that group. Greed, maybe, I don't know. Abandonment issues. There's always abandonment, some kind of childhood trauma. It's fascinating. It gives you a chance to look back on the experiences and the understandings you picked up in your science degree, just to analyze what the fuck's going on. I'm going, I can see where you're coming from, but I don't understand still why you bothered doing it, because the impact is nothing. So it affects no one. Maybe he's trying to secure his position in the group a bit because he wants to play the victim. Right. I'm sorry. I'm just analyzing on the spot there. But if you play the victim, one of the other girls in the group might go, oh, she's a bitch. Oh, come closer to me. And I'm like, okay. Ooh, Pirates of the Caribbean sticker. Sorry. Speaking of Johnny Depp, there's a random place to put it, on someone's back of someone's bar or on someone's ute. But it's, it's fascinating. I'm like, he's dragged me down to promote himself. And this is my ex-boyfriend I'm talking about. He's spreading rumors, I know that much. He wants to be part of the group, if not lead the group, because this is what he's been doing for the last 20 years. It's not conducive. Oh, West Ham sticker. That's my football team. Sorry. Someone else has got my football team. Cockneys, eh? West Ham, up the Hammers. Sorry. He's dragging my reputation down. Not that I ever had a reputation, technically. Not that I ever wanted a social, never wanted to fit in with these assholes. I was being nice for the sake of being nice, in order to promote himself. That's the only thing I can walk out of this, because I know he's insecure about a few things. I know he wants to belong to a group. I know he wants access to things like sex from the group, because I have a strong feeling he's a sex addict. Of a degree, I've been watching what he does. I'm going, you're obsessed with this shit at this point. I could be wrong, I don't know. He wants sex, he wants to fit in with the group, he wants to follow. He told me himself he was a bit of a follower. I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem right given your age, but okay. He just wants to belong. I expect maybe he had some kind of I know his family kicked him out because he was acting like an asshole. They didn't want anything to do with him. Looking at his family, they're pretty upstanding and stuff. So I'm looking at them. I'm looking at what they've done. I'm thinking about. I never got to meet them, which annoys me because it was 2.5 years with him, and I never got to meet his family because he was just like finding excuses. But he's the black sheep of the family. He got kicked out. So I'm like, okay, so you're looking for somewhere to belong. You're looking for a family. Okay, so you've adopted this social group, and it's been about 4 or 5 social groups at this point over the last 20 years. He's been kicked out of every one of them. I'm looking at the behaviors he's been doing. I have a strong feeling he's been lying and manipulating and controlling to try and get involved in the group and get some kind of position there. Okay, so you want to belong to this group, which is a temporary group because all these things fucking dissolve within years of each other. No one stays because the same shit happens over and over again. Everybody backstabs, and so it's a temporary position anyway, even if you did obtain it. And he's willing to drag other people down, which is part of the group dynamics, just to push himself forward and present himself as, I would assume he wants to go as the leadership position, but not really. It's like you want to belong, and you think that you need to act like an asshole and backstab each other to belong. So he initiates and participates in the gossip and the rumor spreading. Now, I know he's not a leader. He was a leader for one of the groups. He was perceived to be a leader for one of the groups. This was 20 years ago, when I was a goth, and I wanted to join that group because I thought it was the cool thing to do. But I left pretty soon afterwards because I was looking at what they were doing and going, this is just painful and I don't want to do it. So I'm not participating, and I left. I got married and finished uni and stuff like that. But it's got to be something to do with those psych aspects that make people drag someone down and treat people like shit. But the mind boggle is that it's not permanent. You don't gain anything permanently from it. Because inevitably the social group will disband because everybody goes their own way. I mean, with time, and in any case, everybody tends to go their own road. Maybe some people want to get married and have kids. Maybe some people just want to skip country, something like that. There's always something like that to break up a group. It's inevitable. Unless it's like a sitcom. I don't know. I'm looking at the Friends episodes. It's like, you guys are all in your 40s and you're still hanging out together. This is unrealistic, but probably why it's fictional. But it's absurd to be willing to drag someone else down and to try and win at all costs to the point where you've hurt someone because of malicious bullshit you've spread, nastiness. I mean, what happens if you want to come back later? You've burnt that bridge. Sorry, there's a kid running. I don't know why he's running near the road. I don't want to run him over today. But you spread the rumours, and then, you also hear rumours that they still want you back, and you're sitting there going, but you just shat on my name, dude. Why? You just made me out to be this horrible person to your friends, your so-called friends, and expect me to come back and want to be nice to you and then still have to hang out with these people. I'm going, are you insane? They think I'm the devil. Why would I do this? It doesn't make sense. So my ex-boyfriend is complicated in that way. It's like, you've shut on my name. You expect me to come running back to you because you've done this. What is this, dude? It's something fucked in the head. It doesn't make sense. So I just left that group and I didn't understand it. I might have a bad reputation there still. I don't mind being perceived to be the bitch. I don't mind, dude. It's like, as long as I'm standing on my morals and what I stand for, I'm happy with that. I don't care. Their reach doesn't go anywhere particularly far. It's like, oh no, I'll never be able to go to a pub again, a particular pub. Oh, I'll never be able to show my face. Which is convenient considering I don't fucking drink. It's like I have no reason to be there. Besides the fact if I did manage to go out with one of the guys I had a thing for from that crew. But I was like, at this point, I'm like, if this is your people, I don't want to hang around you either. So I don't know. But who are these people? It's like, ultimately, what we need to do is take a macro scope of this, a macro view on the bigger picture, right? If you're looking on the micro, you'll get offended. You'll be outraged that someone's spreading lies and gossip about it. That's the thing to take away from it, okay? Because I've just pulled up. On the micro scale, we look at it and go, you've hurt my feelings. You've made me look like an asshole. You've made me do this. People don't want to associate with me anymore, all because of lies and gossip and bullshit that you've spread. On the macro scale, you need to understand that these people aren't worth knowing. They don't affect anything on the larger scale, like your family or your values or anything like this. Everything they say is just words. It doesn't count for anything. There's no actual weight to those words. Only if you allow it to affect it will you have any kind of feeling or attitude towards this. It doesn't mean anything. Like with this social crew. They just don't have any weight to their arguments. Sorry, just checking messages. Why do they do it? I don't know. It's probably based on insecurity, some kind of wanting to belong to a group who are perceived to be assholes with reputations, bad reputations, I would say, looking at them. But to them, maybe it's a good reputation. It doesn't make sense to me because I know where it ends, and I know that most of them will develop some kind of horrible life experiences, like being sexually assaulted or developing drug addiction or alcoholism or, you know, just general loneliness from being abandoned for being an asshole. I've seen the end product of what these behaviors are. Because I'm old enough now, I've seen where it goes. I've watched people living these lives. These guys are all in their early 20s, so they're a bit naive when it comes to that kind of shit. But they keep doing it, so I don't know why they keep doing it, but stupidity of youth, I guess. But, you know, if you're ever faced with that situation, just take a step back. Don't bother participating in it. I mean, you still want to check what it does affect because, you know, leave shit cooking, you want to know what it's going to burn down, if it's your house or if it's just the pot. So you want to keep an eye on that. But at the same time, that's why I've been keeping my ear to the ground. But don't let it rule your life. Don't let them get into your head, your self-esteem or anything like that. It doesn't mean anything. It's just words. There's that Ryan Adams song's just words. If everyone's happy, no one's satisfied, all that thing. If you look at the lyrics, that song is pretty poignant for this. It's like people will talk shit while you give them the opportunity to talk shit about you. And if you enable them to keep doing it, and by showing that it's affecting your feelings or if it's affecting your life in any way, they'll keep doing it because they get a kick out of it. It's just bullying. Reputations. Make sure that you've got a reputation that you're happy with. Ultimately, you have to live with your own decisions. No one's going to bail you out of your decisions. No one's going to bail you out of your life. Ultimately, it comes down to you doing the right thing. Living a way that you can live with, you know, without going crazy yourself or hating yourself, and being a genuine person. It's just, it doesn't make sense to want to be someone else or to belong to a group where you're being dragged down for the sake of saying you belong to that group. It doesn't make sense because inevitably those groups just disband. All right, I'm gonna have to leave it there because I've got to walk into my classroom. But I hope you had a fantastic Wednesday. I'm one podcast short. I know that much. I'm hoping I will do 2 tomorrow maybe or something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. Have a good one, guys.
So space, night, death, darkness, not being there is an essential component of being there. You don't have the one without the other.